So this is basically a walkthrough of one of my recent tracks, and I've been streaming on. Hey Jan, welcome. I've been streaming on Twitch for the past weeks, and I started working on one track, and that track is completed. So today I will make a walkthrough, and I'll show you how everything was put together, basically. So then I'll play a part of this track. This track is not on a label, it's not released, it's something really fresh. And I'll play a part of the track so you can hear what is it about, and then I'm gonna dive into all the elements that I have in here, yeah? So let's say I'll just take this part here. Cool, good to hear, Jan. Thanks. Hey, Roberto. Hey Mary, you can watch it later if you want, so no worries, it will be available on Facebook. Oh yeah, and also on Twitch for sure. Okay, so basically this is the version which is mixed, and I'm gonna go group by group and explain you what went into here. One of the main things is actually the melody that I recorded from Virus. I have here a group. Actually, I like to. So Virus has this function where you can use the virtual instrument, which is the VST, and then in conjunction with the hardware. And sometimes it works great, it's amazing, but sometimes it doesn't. These are pretty much the chords that I've been using. Basically, I have recorded it already in audio. And I think this is the full melody. And I'll show you how I've processed it. I'll actually just put it here underneath so you see it with the notes. pretty much this is me tweaking the filter envelopes. I think here I have a filter. Yeah, so this is the main melody, and now I'll mute this group because I don't need it. I'll show you how I've put it together. So I have here a group for the arps and the synths. I always group elements when I do the mix down. Here basically I separated the I made two copies of the melody, and one I have processed it with let me show you on freeze track. I have the portal, which is a really interesting effect unit, and I don't know if you guys know how this works. It's pretty much yeah, it has a lot of envelopes and modulations and stuff you can add LFO on, and you can basically make put the LFO on any of these elements that you have here and effects, so it's pretty interesting. And here in the first track I'm introducing the melody in the first part, and then with chops from what I have recorded. So this is basically the full recording, if you wish, the one here below, and then I made a few chops and then I put it through the portal, and here below I froze it again, and then I flattened it, so I made it audio so I can see where the events are actually happening, the audio events, because with Portal, it adds in so many delays that sometimes the notes are falling later or earlier. So I really had to see where those are happening in order to eventually place them on time, or just make sure that I mix them properly. So let me let you hear. So it adds very subtle delays and real nice LFO movement. Unlike when Portal wasn't used, and then it sounded like this. That's it. So that was turned into this. So basically this is the main element of the track, the hook in a way, but then it complements with the other parts, the bass, and I have here an arpeggiator which is really driving. And this arpeggiator comes actually from Omnisphere. Double there. So going back to the melody, actually I've been grouping all this the two processed melodies that I have here. This is only for example the white one, so you can ignore that one, but inside the group here I have done some EQing and actually just removed here a frequency which was annoying me and added some distortion and overdrive from Saturn. And actually I have this delay here, this echo, because I use the same melody to record some effects, but I'll go into that a bit later. Let me show you the bass sounds. So these are also a very important part of the hook, I would say. It complements the melody. because the bass goes together with the chords of the melody, so it definitely adds up. And I've used, for the bass, I've used Hive, and you see here I have in the comments of the tracks, I use Hive, Omnisphere, and Diva. So let me show you what I was doing in Omnisphere. So this is basically the unprocessed part of the bass. And this one is the processed, which has, well, I made it audio and has some filtering going on. And I mean, it's just basic EQing that I've done for the kick to make sure that the bass sits together with the kick. And yeah, I have here some sidechain compression in the Omnisphere. So basically, I have used a preset. Fun enough, is Virus preset. And this comes, I think, from the hardware library of Omnisphere, yes. And yeah, those presets from that library, they're just amazing. I love them. And this is my go-to synth for lots of elements that I put in the tracks, together with my Virus, of course. Okay, and then actually, so all these basses together have further processing on the group. And of course I have an EQ, and I rolled off some of the high end. And then I have here, this is called Voice of God. It's a plugin from UAD. I have a UAD sound card, and what it does, it just enhances those low end frequencies, and it can be used for kicks, for basses, and it's absolutely amazing plugin. I can maybe show you how it sounds without it. Just this first bass, the one from Omnisphere. I don't know if you can hear it on your end. It's pretty subtle, but it makes it a bit more round. And then I have here another Saturn FX effect, yeah, and the sidechain. On the other basses is more, the chain is a bit more audible. Like for instance the Saturn, you hear it. Okay. And this bass from Diva, pretty much all the basses go on the same melodies. They just have different, on the same melody, on the same chord. They just have different note syncopation, if you wish to call it so. So this is my Diva bass. I have it here below. You can see the notes. Go with the chords, and let me open the Diva quickly. So it's a preset from the Diva library. This is pretty much stable. It doesn't move too much with the filter. And I added here on the on the bass I added an auto pan, and the way I use auto pan, sometimes I use it as a side chain, so it's not just I don't use it for panning left and right, but rather if you look here at the settings, I have the amount set to 50%, I have the rate 1 to 4, and actually the offset here is very important because this is well, I tweaked it up to the point where I found it that works well with the bass. So, sorry, with the kick. So this is the, yeah, you move it ahead or backwards. And then, of course, you have the phasing. And the phasing is telling to the sine waveform that I have here, sine form, to either go left or right or mono. Or just not do anything. So basically, well, mono, when I mean mono, is like the two side sinusoids are joined together, but it doesn't sound mono, it still sounds stereo. So it's acting more as a volume LFO. That's what it does. Okay, and here I have another EQ, just minimum, not that much. And what I like to use for the bass, it's the Pro MB, also from FabFilter, and this is basically it's a dynamic floating point here, and what it does when the bass hits too high on this area in amplitude, then it brings it down a bit. So then I make sure that the bass is pretty much let's say more stable on that area, and it doesn't go too much the loudness. So that's helpful. I mean, you can achieve the same thing with the compressor and with the sidechain, but the Pro MB works actually great for that purpose. Okay, and here I have another bass which is from Omnisphere. It's not too much in your face the way I mixed it down, but it's part of the whole movement of the track. It adds something extra, which I like. And same principle as here, I'll show you in the Omnisphere group here below. So all my sounds from Omnisphere are coming actually from this group, because I like to keep just one instance of Omnisphere. Considering that it has 8 parts, which means you can use 8 instruments at the same time from Omnisphere, so I keep them all in this one group, and then I save loads of CPU. Very useful. I believe this is the one. This is, let me solo it. No, that's another one. This is the one. Yeah. So this is the original sound. And I'm pretty much, it's also from the hardware library. So if you're using Omnisphere, you know about this. Oh. Again, the filter doesn't open too much, so it's floating a little bit, but pretty steady. Okay, and yeah, you can see also here the notes. And the arpeggio I was talking about earlier, this was actually a bit problematic, because I'll just play it for you. So if you hear it, it goes on, yeah, just goes from left to right really quickly, and sometimes it goes just on one side. And what this causes actually, when I put it in mono, then there is phasing, so the sound gets diminished. So I had to do some further processing later on. I will show you in a minute. So this is the arpeggio. Yeah, there are two parts which I have linked the filter. So this one, the A is for left, I believe. Yeah, and the B is for right. Yeah, it's a pretty simple preset, but definitely works, functional. I like it. So now I'll show you how I process this synth, this arpeggio. Yeah, so here it is in my synths group. Let me open this. So I've got 3 tracks here, left, right, and center. So the center one is mono, and pretty much all the processing that I've done is the same as on the other ones, as on the other 2 parts, left and right. But then, where is it? Here in the utility at the input, I have selected only one channel, so the left, and that's basically mono. And then these other 2 ones, I kept them in stereo, but then I panned it all the way. In this case, this channel is all the way to the left, and the other one is all the way to the right. So when the track is being listened in mono, then the center is still making sense. It's not, how do you call it, affected by the phasing anymore. So it sounds pleasant in stereo and in mono. Okay, now going back to the bass, I've got a few more basses here. One is also coming from, I think this is coming from Virus, but it's more like a synth slash bass. It's pretty high on the spectrum. You can hear it. And it's heavily compressed. Sorry, heavily sidechained. So here again I have simple EQing, and I have here transient master because the way it was recorded from Virus, it was pretty clicky, and yeah, maybe you can hear it already. Yeah, so you can hear it, but when I add the transient master, yeah, it's a bit less clicky, and I only have here like a, yeah, I mean minimum settings here on the transient master, not too much. And here I have, of course, a filter. It just brings it down. It closes down the high frequencies during the break. And here I have another EQ removing some of the unwanted frequencies. And Another thing that I like to do in my tracks, I like to, because you see here that I have another bass line. This is from Hive. Let me let you hear it. So it's pretty hollow and doesn't go so low. But what it does when this is added, or some element like this, it enforces a bit the bass line in the second part, and then you have this element of freshness and change. So let you hear it. Okay. And then this bass I added lastly while I was making the track. It also comes from Omnisphere, and back here in the group. Put it on first. Actually, I use this bass in several tracks. I like it a lot. Let me see now. It's also part of the hardware library. If you don't know, the hardware library is actually it's a combination of the recorded synths. For instance, I don't know, let's say the Virus or the Juno, and then they are combined with the oscillators from the Omnisphere itself, and it's actually pretty cool. And another cool stuff is that with this version of Omnisphere, and I played with it quite a bit, I can control, because my Virus has MIDI controls as well, so I can control the Omnisphere from my Virus, which is amazing. I love that. Okay, so that's the other bass. Let me put this one on mute again. So it's not too much in your face, this particular bass either, but it's acting as a reinforcement for the other elements, which I like. Well, yeah, I remove here some of the frequencies which were, not really sitting in the mix too well. And I had two options. I could just bring down the volume of the whole sound, or of the whole channel, or just take only some frequencies out. And by taking only some frequencies out, then the sound stood out a bit better in the mix. And then, of course, I have a utility for the volume automation. I like to automate the volume with the utility effect, because if I do it on the channel level here, then at the end of the mixing process, if I want to bring down the volumes, it's gonna be a pain in the ass if there is automation happening already. So it's better to do it here inside the utility. And then you have these slots basically free, and you can easily put the volumes up and down later on. Okay, so basically these are my bass sounds. And now I'm gonna take you to the drums. So yeah, here I have actually quite a few elements, quite a lot. For me, in electronic music, drumming is very important, of course. And after I'm done with the composition and everything, then what I do, I go into the mixing process and I make sure my drums on their own sound good without any synths. Maybe a few effects here and there if they really fit within the drumming category. And then I mix everything else on top, of course, except for the bass. So basically, I mean, I don't have, you don't hear a lot of elements, but you hear a lot of hats actually. And some of them, they go together, some of them, they are syncopated with each other. So let me get you through them now. I have here on the group, I have some parallel effects added. I'm not sure if you can see my send return channels. You don't see them, so let me put the camera on the other side. I think this should be better now. So basically here the green, let me make all of them the same color so you can see what's happening here. All of these are effects that I'm using for the send returns, and I don't have any compressors or anything else that actually adds more volume to the drums. Just a tiny bit of effects. And here I have, let's see, this is A, B, C, D, E. This is the E one, and it goes to the CLA unplugged. This is from Waves. And to be honest, I never use the presets from it. I used it just flat, as you see it, with these settings. And it's amazing because it just sounds really cool. And I add it on pretty much everything, on the drums, on the synths, on the bass, you name it. And what it does, well, actually, you can already see here some of the settings that it has. It has bass, highs, compressor, reverb 1, reverb 2. This is very interesting. And then delay. So you can choose here the type of reverb and delay that you want. And yeah, just with these basic settings, they have a bit of these elements on, and it just adds some crispiness and really cool stuff on top. Let me show you. This is if it's just too much sand there, but I like to have a little. Like this. And actually the processing that happens here on the CLA, I never leave on my send return effects channels the low end, so I always cut it out, because if I want to put it on the drums, for instance, or on the bass, I don't want my low end to be cluttered up, of course, with any extra low frequencies. So that's pretty much that. And then here I have portal drum, I call it. Let me let you hear it. And actually this is what I've done. I have dropped, let me drop now 1. I have dropped a portal on the drum bus itself with everything on, and I think except the kick, actually. Yeah, the kick was out. So let me just take one. Okay, so what you hear now is the portal on the drum bass, and the way I recorded these shots here, drum shots, if you loop, it's by recording from the portal. So that was it's actually, yeah, it's like a trial and error, you know. So you have to find the balance between all the LFOs and the delays, and having it actually syncopated to the something that feels natural to the track, because it can go really crazy. Anyway, you can extract super interesting stuff from here when you drop it on anything, and you can go crazy. I love it. It's an amazing effect. Okay, here I have, I have claps, just normal claps. I like to change them every now and then, you know, have like a different pattern, like here also, so it makes the track move a bit more. And here at the beginning of just before the break, the claps are having a different pattern here at the end, and it doesn't that pattern doesn't repeat so often, so there are not too many variations. And then of course I have the hats. Yeah, I have a tendency to go a bit crazy with the hats, but what I do after I'm done with making all the sounds, then I go through everything and I remove what is not necessary. But for me, all these hats that you have here, then they make sense. So they are enforcing each other. Some of them are panned. This for making the rhythm a bit more alert. And this is a very interesting hat, actually. It's a human hat, and it has some processing on it, but I'm gonna remove all the processing so you see how it sounds. Actually, it's just like a human voice. So let me put this back. Oh. Okay, and now I'm gonna put on the effects. So I have here, this is the first one is JJP vocals from also from Waves, and yeah, it just sounds amazing. You can put it also on everything pretty much. It's designed for this particular preset is designed for vocals, and I thought, well, since this is a human hat, could be interesting to just drop it on and see how it sounds. So it definitely adds a lot of volume, but it makes it more present. It adds some reverb and a bit of the crisp on top. And I sidechain it. Actually, wasn't that necessary to sidechain it, but because of the settings here on the compressor, then it makes it move, so it's a bit more dynamic. Okay, and then I have another hat here. So pretty much all these hats are making it sound nice together. And here I have like a signature before the next phrase comes in. Basically, it's a sample that I chopped, a head sample. And in order to create that effect, so it starts from high and it goes down. What I did, well, the first shot is actually with the transpose to 0, so it's not transposed. And then it goes 1 semitone lower, the next one, and the next one it goes 3 semitones lower, so you get this effect. And I really like it how it sounds in the track. It's subtle. Okay, so and then on my drums group, what I do some automations for the drop, and basically I have 2 filters. One is for the high end and one is for the low end. So it sounds like this. So as you can see, the automation, well, the both filters go out at the drop. I don't keep them on there. And the reason why I do that is because when the auto filter is on, like that, then and if I have any low end happening, you see there is a roll off there, which it takes out from the bass, and I don't like to have it. I mean, I could fix it, but it just doesn't make any sense. I can just put it off. So only at the right time in the break when I really need to have that low end removed. Okay. And now let me go back to the scenes, because here I have some interesting elements that I have made. So as part of the melody, I'm just going to mute this. Basically, these are reinforcing the main melody. It's going on the same chord. So this is the synth from Mini V. Let me show you. So basically, these are the same chords as the melody above, and I have recorded a few shots just to emphasize the melody, and basically just, yeah, it's in a way preparing it a bit more. And then here at the main break, I have it acting more like, yeah, stabs, but they're very gentle stabs. And this is coming from Mini V. Mini V is quite heavy on the CPU. I can show you the settings there, but let me see if this is not gonna affect the playback. Okay. So let me make this bigger. I think this should be big enough so you see it. So basically, it's another preset from Arturia, from their factory, and let me put it on. This is the sound how it sounds unprocessed. And here I have some automation, the yellow in the green sections. You can see here the attack is changed. And there is also movement on the cutoff. Actually, so initially what I wanted to do with this melody, I'm going to put this back. Let me see. Anyway, I'm going to remove this V3 for now because it's pretty heavy, the processor. Okay, so here are my recordings from the Mini V. And as you can see, I decided to keep only one part of the whole recording. It sounded like this before. So here the release was a bit more open, but then I didn't really feel in this part, I didn't feel to have this these notes, so I removed them and I decided to focus on the pads. I'm gonna go to in a minute. Put this back. And yeah, here the processing. Actually, I put a saturator to make it a bit more present, and to give it a bit more volume. And then of course I did some EQing, and the EQing is quite brutal on this part. Let me take this off so you hear how it sounds. Close. Okay, and now it's already bringing quite a lot of volume, the saturator. And here in this area there are some frequencies, the hum, which are so they were making the whole mix in a way distort in that particular area, and I had to remove quite a lot because I like the sound, but it had to have quite a bit of processing. And here actually I have an automation precisely in this part because I have some other elements coming in and I wanted to have a bit less amplitude in that area, and it's about this point here, around 134 134 hertz. Lower in volume. Okay, and what I also have here, I have synth from from Serum, and sounds like this. Actually, this brings it gives some rhythm to the track, which I like a lot. And these are my notes. It's actually let me see if I can show you. Unfreeze. The notes actually here go a bit different at some point than the main chord, but essentially they are the same notes. And actually the serum, I had a subscription with the serum, but now it's I turned it off because I'm not using it that often. But I made this patch myself, and you can hear it from the source directly. So there are some LFOs going in here, you see? And this one goes on the, I believe it goes on the volume. Oh, here it shows me where it goes. It goes on the volume and some reverb, and also the noise level and noise pitch, which are having quite an impact. And then of course I processed it here. And there is quite a big difference because I didn't want to have all those low notes in there, those low parts of the sound, because then again it interferes with the other elements that I have in the track. Yeah, so I'm gonna remove this for now because it's quite heavy also on the CPU. So this is without the filter. If I take everything out, it sounds nice, but it clutters a bit on the low, and I like to have the movement that I have created with it, and that is not too present because other elements should be more present. Okay, and then I have another synth here, which is actually coming from Alchemy. This is the very old version of Alchemy, if you guys know it. I'm gonna unfreeze this. It's also pretty heavy on the CPU. And it sounds like this, the melody. Essentially, this is the same. These are the same notes that I have recorded from Virus, and I put it on this particular instrument. And I've done some processing here as well. So I have here the EQ. Actually, this is a floating point. In a way, it acts. So this is from the Pro Q3. And if you push, yeah, this is on a Mac. If you push Alt, then you can create a floating point, and it acts in a way in the same way like the one from the Pro MB, and it's very useful. And I had there some annoying frequencies which were spiking too much, so I fixed them with this. You can see how it moves. Okay, and then I have some more EQing, so I took out from one part there and then I brought it up a little bit on this side in the frequency. And then I have actually my pads. The pads are recorded from Omnisphere. So actually my main focus at the break, I wanted to have the pads and make it a bit epic, but not too much. And those pads are coming also from Omnisphere, as I said. And actually these are these are my notes, the pad. And let me see if I can let you hear directly from Omnisphere. So these are coming from Omnisphere. And what I had here, actually this yellow clip, and it corresponds with the blue one here. So I have the main pad notes, but then I have here a higher note coming in here. So this one, let me play it again. So the reason why I've done them like this, recorded this way, is because I wanted to process separately those high notes, and I added a different panning. So you can see here with the delay, this is the simple delay from Ableton. I have created like a kind of a fake stereo by putting the timings to milliseconds, and then just pushing one of the it can be anyone, left or right, doesn't matter, pushing it higher, and then you can get this fake stereo image. So yeah, and here below I have a vocal loop, which I downloaded this sample, this vocal sample. Tonight, I'd lie for you. It's pretty trancy. I tried to use it in the track, but it doesn't work. And this is actually from Splice. And then I turned that into this. So what I did, I just looped one part there, and then I added a lot of processing. I've got, of course, another portal. I've got a Torah verb, this from the D16 group. Very nice reverb. And I have automation on the auto filter and the compressor. And then, of course, I have some EQing and some more low cut here with the auto filter. And then here below I've got my ambience. Actually, this is another loop which I made from the recordings from Virus and from the melody. It sounds like this. And this is something that goes throughout the whole track, and it just builds up and then comes down, so it's floaty. You barely hear it, but it's there. And then I have my FX group. Actually, these are recordings that I've done from also from the melody from Virus, together with what was with the echo. Yeah, that's the effect. So you can see it here. I have it here. And what I did, actually, so I recorded that kind of automation. Where is it? Into here. Then again, it doesn't have to be too loud because yeah, it needs to sit properly in the mix, and if it gets too loud, then it makes the track a bit more, I don't know, in a way more commercial, I would say. And when it's lower in volume and barely heard, then yeah, it's not so noticeable, but it does add to this charging effect before the drop. Okay, and here I have white noise. Basically, this I made with the operator from Ableton. It has a really nice white noise part here you can use, of course, from the wavetables. And basically this. This is pretty simple, nothing too complicated, heavy sidechain, and yeah, that's pretty much it. These ones below are my groups that I showed you as example of what happened before in the track. So yeah, guys, this is how I put the track together. Oh, Rino, so now I see your comment. Are you sidechaining the multiband compressor or just leave it like that? Sidechaining the multiband compressor. Well, yeah, I mean, I normally use just the normal compressor from Ableton to sidechain elements, and that's basically it. Or just use something else to sidechain it, like the auto pan. That can also work well. Alex, you group based. Ciprian, I'm just seeing now your comment. Hi Alex, your group based on frequency bands, or what's the logic for grouping during mixdown? So basically, what I do, I group elements on the frequency. For instance, the drums are different because yeah, everything that's percussive and it belongs to the drumming part, then I drop it in there. And then the bass has its particular group, but then some of the elements have a basic character as well, or if they don't have a basic character, maybe it's complementing the bass line, so maybe it's another layer, then I drop it in the same group. And then I have the synths, and the synths normally sit a bit higher in the spectrum. And yeah, you're talking here about, I don't know, the melody or the arpeggiator. So based on that, if you look on the spectrum, yeah, I think you have to make a decision to what particular category your elements belong to. That is basically my logic behind it. And effects, for instance, I always put into one single group. And as you can see here, let me minimize all the channels. So you can make an exception. I'm gonna delete actually these other groups. You can see what sits in here. So basically I have my FX groups, and here I have what I have recorded earlier with from the main melody, and then I have some FX shots, effect shots here, which are in essence that's their role to be effects. pretty white noisy. And here I have the white noise. So in this case, my effects group has these 3 elements. And I also have my I have the pads group, and here I throw everything that belongs to, let's say, what comes on top of the melody, because you have the melody, let's say, sitting somewhere in the center of the spectrum, and then on top of that you have the pads coming in, and some ambiental stuff that is also on the higher spectrum, and then I mix those together. So you can see here I have basically, for this track, I have 5 stems really. I have the drums, the bass, the arpeggiator and the synths, the pads, and the effects. Cool, guys. I'm going to tune out. Hope you've enjoyed this session, and you can always reach me through a message here on Facebook or on Twitch. And thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Ciao.